Welcome back to Low Stress Math with Mrs. Bono. We're going to do Chapter 1, Exponents, Lesson 3. What is a negative base? And the target is to learn how to expand and evaluate exponential expressions with negative bases. So I'd like you to try the warm-up. Identify the coefficient, base, and exponent for each of the following. So pause your video and try those problems on your own. You know, the only way to learn math is to do math, so do some math. Okay, welcome back. Let's talk about the coefficient, base, and exponent for each of the following. So I am going to come in to make it a little bit easier for you to see. And let's look at the coefficient here. Remember, the coefficient is the number you multiply times the base. So the number I'm multiplying times the base here is -2. The base is the variable x. And the exponent is the 3. And remember that tells you how many times to use the base as a factor. For the next one, it's a little bit different because there's parentheses here. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to use this 3 and I'm going to expand this. Why? Because I want one number for a coefficient. So the whole thing here is the base right now. So this is really -2x times -2x times -2x. Remember that you can use the properties of math. In this case, I'm going to be using the commutative property, and I'm going to rewrite this as -2 times -2 times -2, and I'm just going to keep all the x's, x, x, x. Now, -2 times -2 times -2, that's -8. That's going to be my coefficient. Because remember, -2 times -2 is +4. +4 times -2 is -8. You can do it on a calculator if you feel you must, but trust me, that's what it is. And now I still have x, x, x. That's my base, x. And my exponent, well, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3 x's. So my exponent is 3. So I could actually rewrite that as -8 x to the 3rd. Okay. So let's talk about these two problems here. First, what's the difference? Parentheses 3 squared, parentheses -3 squared. Here, my base is 3. But here, my base is -3. My exponent is the same for both. My exponent is 2 for both of those. Now, when I expand this, this is going to be 3 times 3. But when I expand this one, remember to keep the negative with the 3 because it's in parentheses. You get -3 times -3. And the strange part of this, well, not so strange, but the interesting part to me is 3 times 3 is 9. But so is -3 times -3. My answer is also 9. I had an even exponent and my answer was positive in both cases. That's going to be important in a minute. These are not the same. I even gave you a little note over here. Although the two exponential expressions look similar, they do not have the same answer. And here's why. For this one, the base is -4 in parentheses because the parentheses kind of glue that negative to the 4. Now my exponent is still 2. And when I expand this, it's going to be parentheses -4 times -4. -4 times -4, that is positive 16. But over here, that negative sign is not glued to that 4. What that negative sign is, it's actually kind of like -1 times 4 squared. That negative is almost like a coefficient. It's going to multiply -1 times whatever my answer is here. So my base is just 4. My exponent, still 2. And when I expand this, it's really going to be -1 times 4 times 4. The exponent is only on the 4. So it's -1 times 4 times 4. My answer is -16. Now, if you don't trust me, and you don't have to, you can do that on your calculator and see that the parentheses mean something. Mathematicians don't just throw parentheses around. They have a meaning and a reason. So let's try the next page. So when you have parentheses, the negative gets glued to the number. But when you don't have parentheses, it's like an invisible coefficient. So on this next page, my base here, this is very confusing. We're going to make this a little bit bigger for me because, you know, I like to see what I'm doing. All right, my base here, again, that negative is -1 times y. So my base is just y. The exponent is 7. And when I expand it, remember this is going to be equal to -1 times y to the 7th. So when I expand it, that -1 coefficient is really going to be important. -1 times y, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remember, letters next to each other means multiplication. You don't have to write the dots or parentheses. This is different. This means the negative is part of the base. So my base is -2. It's part of the base. So my exponent is 3. Expand/evaluate. It's going to be hard, but I'm just going to evaluate that. Oh no, do the whole thing, Bono. -2 times -2 times -2. Put the parentheses, keep those glued together. Negative times negative is +4 times -2, -8. My base here, the coefficient is -2. The base is just x. The exponent is 3. So this -2 here, not part of it, that's the coefficient. So it's going to be -2 times x, remember, you don't have to put the dot, times x times x. Sometimes I forget. All right. Over here, this is, remember, it's the same as -1 times 3 to the second power. So the base here is 3. The exponent is 2. But the expanded evaluate part is -1 times 3 times 3, which gives you -9 as an answer. For this one, the negative is glued to the variable m. So my base stays in parentheses, -m. When I get an exponent, it's 5. So I'm using -m as the base 5 times. -m, parentheses, -m. You gotta use parentheses for these because that negative is glued on there with like crazy glue, crazy bona fide glue. Here we go. 5 m's. For this one, it's like the one above it. The -4, again, this -4 here is a coefficient. And I'm not going to use that until I get down to the expand part. -4 is my coefficient. I multiply it on the end. My base is y, and my exponent is 4. So when I write this out, it's -4 times y times y times y times y. 4 y's. Stop the video and do 1 and 2 on the bottom. So use this to help you, but do those problems. Okay. Now let's review these problems. More practice problems. Expand and evaluate. I have to find answers for these problems. Expand and evaluate. Might have to use my calculator even. You never know. So this is, remember, that negative is really -1 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Let's see, 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125, times 5 is 625. -1 times 625. So when I finish this problem, I get -625. Parentheses, keeping my fraction together. This is 1/6 times 1/6. 6 times 6 is 36. 1 times 1 is 1. Straight across. 1 over 36. Ooh, this got a lot of math going on here. So I'm going to expand this. Remember, again, this negative in front here is -1 times 3 times 3 times 3, and then divided by 27. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times -1. This is -27 divided by 27. That answer is -1. Some good answers going on here. All right, let's try this one. We're going to rewrite the products using exponents. Be sure to use a parentheses, and here's the word appropriately, and only when necessary. So this one, it's absolutely necessary because that negative is in the parentheses. It's glued to the 4. It's -4 as a base. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I've used -4 4 times as a factor. So my exponent is 4. Here, there's only one -1. So my coefficient is -1. My base is m, And my exponent is going to be, well, m is a factor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So I used m as a factor 6 times. Now that's ugly math. Remember I told you I don't like ugly math. I don't need this -1. I only need the negative sign. So this is going to be equal to negative m to the 6th power. There's my answer. I should have put a box around this answer too. Appropriate. There's no negative here. There is a negative there. And there's my favorite voice. Okay, on the next page, oh, look at that, independent practice. Lesson 3, exponents with negative bases. There's only 10 problems. Try them on your own, and I'll put the answers in a PDF on the bottom. Have a good day.